Hey everybody, T-Man again, bringing you guys another video, and here we go. Welcome to Let's Talk Wrestling. Episode number 3 is here, and I'm not shooting these Let's Talk Wrestlings every single week. I just do them whenever, but I have been shooting a lot of content out. I probably have about, as I'm shooting this video, I probably have about 6 or 7 videos that I have not released yet. I released 3-4 of them right away the other day on 3 days ago, like on Thursday, and now I'm shooting this one here at work. I'm at a site. I work all different places. I'm currently at a site where I'm able to sit in my car and just shoot videos for you guys, so I'm very excited. I shot 2 non-wrestling videos in this vehicle today. I shot a unboxing video for a comic book, for a Comic Boxer, which is a monthly mystery box subscription that only focuses on comic books, only focuses on the best books of that month, which means right now you get the box in April, like the first or second week of April, and it's for all the books that came out in March. So they pick between 5 to 7 books, what they think is the top books. It could be number ones. It's good for people that's just getting in the comics for number ones. It deals with variants if you're a fan of different variant covers, first appearances of characters that's making their thing. So if you want value, bang for your buck, if you never want to miss an issue that is big, Comic Boxer is pretty cool. So yeah, I definitely recommend that. And I also shot a MMA video from earlier today. As I shot this video, was on Saturday, for Mikro Kokop and Gonzaga, giving you a review on that fight. So now it's time to Let's Talk Wrestling. Those of you who watch my videos, and if you see my other 2 episodes of Let's Talk Wrestling, this is just like a podcast form, but I just shoot the shit to you. You know, I shoot the shit, talk about what's on my mind, and boy, I have a great episode for you. I actually have this really detailed plan, and let me give you the agenda on what to expect in today's episode. We're going to have some countdowns on today's episode, and at first I was thinking top 10, top 7, top 5, or whatever. No, I'm just going to give you, I'm not going to do like a 5 or a 10 to just make 5 or 10. If I don't think a wrestler deserves it, I'm not going to throw their name on there just to put them on a list. I got for you the best big men in wrestling history, who I think is the best man, and I did 8. And I'm sure some of you are going to disagree with the order, so I'm sure some of you are going to think that your favorite big man didn't make the list. But this is my opinion, who I think is the 8 great big men of all time. And I also got 4, I wanted to keep it good, 4 of the craziest wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. And this one will probably turn a lot of heads, and this one you guys will probably disagree with me. I'm also going to be doing my Smackdown, a quick Smackdown review in this episode of Let's Talk Wrestling. We're also going to be discussing Roman Reigns. What do I think about him not being in the world title picture coming off of WrestleMania? How I think he's getting handled. You don't want to miss that. I have a lot to say about Roman Reigns. Also, I'm going to be talking about a certain lawsuit that's been happening right now, that's going on between 3 former WWE guys, most notably Luther Reigns, who was, I remember him clearly from 2004, I think briefly in 2005. He wasn't in WWE for too long. I don't even know this guy. He's a bigger gentleman. I had to Google him. Russ McCollin and Ryan Sakota. And Ryan Sakota, he looked like Kenzo Suzuki, this Japanese guy. He was born in Japan. I wonder if that's who it is. I looked on Wikipedia. I couldn't see the name Kenzo Suzuki, but that's what it looked like. Filed a lawsuit regarding concussion. I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. And also I'm going to give you my kind of, you know how I used to do when I first started the channel, I did a match of the night. I was recently also this morning watching some WWE Network, and I felt like watching some WCW. I will give you my event of the week or the month for you guys to check out. Especially if you're a fan of WCW early days, like early 90s, if you're a big fan of wrestling, you're going to want to check out my event of the month or week or whenever I do the next Let's Talk Wrestling. So let's start it off. I'm going to break up the countdowns. Let's start it off with a countdown, and then we're going to go to Smackdown, and then we're going to do another countdown. Let's go with the big man, because this big man, then we could transition into Smackdown, because it'll make sense. Let's start off. This countdown is, when I mean big man, I just don't mean fat, I don't mean big. And to me, what makes number one is everything. Is how was their career overall, how was their movement in the ring. It just goes all around, you know, and gimmick too, performance in the ring, longevity. When you look back on their career, what do you think? All different types of stuff, you know. And let's go down right away to number 8 on the countdown. Number 8 is Psycho Sid. To me, he's the last big man that made my list, and here's why. Here's a guy that held the title, the World Heavyweight title, in both major organizations multiple times. Okay, he held it in WCW first, I believe, and a few times in WCW in the early WCW days. Then he held it, and then he was a member of the Four Horsemen, just a long longevity career. Then he was in WWE for a brief time in 1992, very brief, as Sid Justice. Went back to WCW, I believe, for a little while in 92, 93, somewhere around there. Went back to WWF again, I think in 94, 95, somewhere around there. I think 95 for sure, at WrestleMania 11 with the whole Diesel Shawn Michaels thing. Then he was Shawn Michaels' bodyguard a little bit, held the IC title, I believe, and he was then the WWF champion for a few different times. He held the WWF, I don't know the exact number of times, held it a few times again, went back to WCW, held the World Heavyweight title in the 2000s, which was really hard to do, had a big push. I think Goldberg really gave him a resurgence as the Millennium Man, and I remember the angle he did with Goldberg was really memorable. Even though Goldberg won, I thought that was booked really well. It made Sid Vicious look like a badass, and at that time, be it there for as long as he was there for, to be considered that, and he really got over, in my opinion, in the 2000s. And if you think about what the competition had with the Attitude Era, even though, I mean, WCW was losing, I mean, I think Sid really held his own, and enough to make number 8 on my big man. So good for him. Number 7 is Kevin Nash. And Kevin Nash, I would say, even though Kevin Nash was more popular because he was better on the mic, he was way better on the mic than Sid. I mean, Sid, he was horrible, man. He just said the hellacious thing. I like the blunders on the countdown on WWF network. If you watch top 10 blunders on their countdown series, you got Sid Vicious. I only have half the brain that you do. You know, he was just horrible, didn't know what he was saying, could not shoot a live interview. But Kevin Nash was great on the mic. Kevin Nash makes my list because he wasn't just great on the mic, but, you know, the gimmick, the everything, the NWO, just, I mean, Kevin Nash Diesel, the longevity, just everything about him, you know, is, I mean, no doubt about it, he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, and he was in the Hall of Fame, and I was really happy that happened to him. But, you know, it was really good to see Kevin Nash in the Hall of Fame, and he deserves to be. He is one of the biggest big men in wrestling, and his career, everything he's done, he's deserved it. Whew. I'm out of wind already, man. I'm only 9 minutes in the video. This video may not go the whole hour like previous Let's Talk Wrestling. I just want to have fun with this, guys. I just want to have fun with this video. Anyways, moving on number 6 is Yokozuna. And the reason why Yokozuna beats Kevin Nash and Sid, some of you's like, I'm not talking about just name and titles or whatever. Yokozuna goes really number 6 on my list because of the movement this man had. This guy was one of the biggest guys in WWF or in wrestling. I mean, he weighed almost 600 pounds. And if you've seen how this guy moves, the athleticism, I mean, the way he ran, and then he did the little butt slam and the bonsai drop, and just the way he moved for a big man, a very big man. He was very athletic, and he's very underrated as a big man. You know, it's kind of funny. You know, I wonder how he felt having that gimmick. Yokozuna, because he's a Samoan guy, and you know, Samoans are very proud people. They're very proud of their heritage, and you know, they don't like to pretend like they're other nationalities. And here, you know, he was Japan, and obviously you could see he was not Japan. He was not Japanese, and I thought that was kind of funny how they will always say he's from Japan, because you could look at him and clearly tell he's not Japanese. But anyways, he definitely makes the list. Number 5 on my list here is Big Van Vader. You want to talk about, oh my god, you want to talk about a big man. This guy was awesome and athletic as a mofo, man. He was athletic. I mean, you talk about the moonsaults he did, and not to mention, he was very generous. Most big guys will not sell nothing for you, okay? They will not sell nothing for you, most big guys, because they want to keep the image. Vader, he looked so big and whatever. He put guys over. I watched the match earlier, and this is going to be on my event of the month. It was a 6-man tag, but anyways, I saw Rick Steiner suplex, belly the belly suplex Vader, and just picking Vader up, slamming overhead. Rick Steiner's not a big guy. Rick Steiner wasn't even over as a heavyweight or anything, as a title contender or nothing, and Vader was letting Rick Steiner just pick him up and throw him all over the ring. I couldn't believe that. Rick Steiner, well, it made Rick Steiner look good. It made Vader look good, because most big man styles of wrestling is kind of boring. Vader looked awesome, man. Vader looked absolutely awesome, and that's in all his matches with his moonsaults or whatever. Vader is so underrated, no doubt about it. He deserved to be on this countdown and in my top 5. You know, no doubt about it, deserved to be in my top 5. Now, number 4. My number 4 person on my countdown is Kane. Why does Kane beat everyone else? Because, my God, first of all, the longevity of this guy. Kane has been around with bad gimmicks and bad whatever, just in WWF alone since the end of 90, probably around 94 he's been with WWF, and then in 95 with the dentist as Jerry the King Lawler's dentist, and then finally he caught his niche, getting a good gimmick in 1997 being Kane, and he's been on the road, and he's had one of the longest careers from 1997, now currently in 2015, still on the road, still doing house shows. And they even offered him, to be off the road and just do a limited schedule, just doing TV tapings, and he did it for a week, and then Kane's like, man, I'm going crazy, I want to be back on the road. And Kane's a real badass, and I hear he's a really nice guy backstage, and even for his style and the stuff he's willing to do, I mean, they still put him in hardcore matches with like chairs, and if you think about all the bumps and everything this man has taken, and he's still going strong, I mean, the longevity of this guy is absolutely unbelievable. Kane is definitely on this list as number 4. Number 3, I'm not even going to tell you everything he did. I'm just going to say the name because he speaks for himself, and one of the biggest legends, no doubt, in WWF history, WWE, whatever, is The Undertaker. Enough said. I won't even go into everything he's done. If you're a fan, if you're watching this video, I don't need to say Undertaker. You're like, Undertaker's number 3? You guys must know who number 2 is, and Number one is going to surprise you, and you're going to guess who number one is right after I say number two, because you know he's going to make the list. Number two, not number one. Number two to me is Andre the Giant, as the greatest big man of all time. Andre, people still talk to him to this day, was an attraction. He was an attraction. You know, he didn't have a whole lot of movement, but just how big he was spoke for himself. And there's never been, at that time, if you think about 1987 WrestleMania 3, him and Hogan, at that time, and the seats, that 87 or 97 or 1,000 people at the Pontiac Silverdome, or 93 I think it was, is unbelievable, you know, especially for its time. And Hogan couldn't, you know, yeah, Hogan speaks for himself, he was the big baby face, but he needed someone, and Andre was that guy. And Andre was around for so much longer, had great rivalries with Big John Studd, been around forever, and he really is one of the greatest big men of all time. There'll never be a guy that people will just pay to see and be in awe of. Andre was a very rare gimmick and person in this business, and people, he deserves to have his own battle royal. It should have happened a long time ago. Which brings us to number one, is the Big Show. And to me, Big Show goes down as the greatest big man ever in wrestling, because he meets every single criteria you want in a big man and in a wrestler in general. You think about it, he's been around, unexperienced. He came in 1995 in WCW. Hulk Hogan found him at a charity basketball game. And you think about it, he's been a top guy since 95 now to 2015, 20 years he's been on top, and being a big name. He's been a big name since day one. Since he walked in, he won the WCW heavyweight title on his first night, beating Hulk Hogan. He was a made guy from that day on. For the last 20 years, he's been a main player. He's been a main guy in WCW, WWE, and WWE since he got there in 1999. He took a little time. He's taken time off. He's gone down to I think, I forgot the name of their center back in 2001 something. I think it was 2001, 2002. He went to Ohio Valley Wrestle, or whatever, their developmental, to get some more work in, which was good for him. And he came back and he was on top again. Big Show, just the longevity of his career and how big he is. He moves like a giant, not to mention he has better matches and he's way better in the ring than Andre ever was. Andre is a legend, no doubt about it. But if you think about just the longevity, the movement in the ring, and being on there 20 years on top, just everything that makes a giant and big man a big man, Big Show is. And I understand he's a heel right now. He's playing that character beautifully right now in the Authority. Man, you think about how long Big Show's been around, and he played a key part in the Monday Night Wars, and just everything about him, man. Big Show, no doubt about it, is number one on my list. Okay, moving on from that, let's go on to Smackdown. I love what they're doing with Kane, Seth Rollins. This was more of a Raw storyline. It looks like, I like how they're kind of teasing Kane, you know, maybe not being the director of operations anymore. And if that happens, no doubt about it, you could obviously slide that in the Big Show. Big Show, I think they've been teasing that a little bit lately. You know, with Kane kind of having little rumbles within in the Authority, I could kind of see Big Show taking over that mantle as the director of operations, storyline wise, and I think that would make a whole lot of sense. I think it really would. It would make a whole lot of sense. So anyways, SmackDown has been really good for the undercard, you know, lately. I mean, and SmackDown, I've said it before in past shows, SmackDown is a glorified SmackDown is a glorified house show. You know, it's just been more storylines, and it's not a bad thing, because SmackDown has great in-ring work wrestling. It has some great in-ring competitor. So I'm just gonna I'm not gonna break down every segment, but I'm going to give you a quick what I thought about it and the results of the match. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro going over the New Day. Real quick, I'm on New Day, Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, even though they're supposed to be heels, they're getting over with the fans. Why? Because fans are a fan of great wrestlers, and Tyson Kidd and Cesaro are two of the best in-ring wrestlers in WWE. Not the best ever, especially Cesaro, I would say is, but the fans are really behind them, and they should be. They're fantastic wrestlers. Vince McMahon doesn't push them because he thinks, he thinks he's a Las Vegas showgirl. He thinks it's all about entertainment, which it is, but it's also about wrestling as well. He misses that wrestling part. Beating the New Day, is just a disaster. That whole thing, and Vince and WWE's put a lot of money behind the whole New Day with the promos and the outfits and all of this other stuff. And the New Day, to me, was a disaster. And I knew it was going to be that disaster. It got over at first with New Day, and those gimmicks don't last very long. I would have liked to see the three of them together as kind of a new version of the Nation of Domination. I would have liked to see it come off like that. Not like a copycat, but something like that, with them being held down and them as heels, but not babyface gimmicked out like that, like Vince liked to do. I knew that was going to fail. Fans, they were supposed to be baby faces. Now the fans are just not behind them at all, and the whole thing's just a clusterfuck. Then you have Curtis Axel versus Adrian Neville. Adrian Neville picking up the win against Curtis Axel. I thought that was a really good good match, a good way to show Adrian Neville's skills. What the hell, man? I'm doing a video. Jesus. Recess, what do we have here? 3 interactions on Twitter. Text message. Let me see here. Sorry, guys. But this is relaxed videos. I think I had the most complex nap time dream ever. My wife has the most intense nap time dreams ever. She does. My wife has the weirdest dreams ever. This is Let's Talk Wrestling, so I'm not in a rush. So I'm just bullshitting with you guys. Yeah, my wife, she has some weird dreams. I'm not even going to get into that. I could do a podcast show just on my wife's dreams alone. Good God Almighty. Anyways, moving on from that. I do never won. Showcase the skills. Okay. Natalya versus Alicia Fox. Before that, we had a backstage. A little promo scene with Natalya, Alicia Fox, and Cameron. And Cameron turned out to be the special referee. The three of them were going at it, whatever. Cameron was the special referee, and Natalya picked up the win, leading into a battle royal to determine who's going to be the #1 contender at Extreme Rules against Nikki Bella. I'm going to go ahead and give you my prediction right now. Before we get to Monday, I think it's going to be Naomi. I think Naomi's past due for a title run. I think Naomi's going to win the Battle Royal, and I'm going to go ahead, even though I'm always wrong with Diva matches, I'm going to go ahead and say Naomi should win if I was booking the Battle Royal, and I think she should be, what's her name, Nikki Bella. That's what I think. Just my opinion. Moving on from that, we have Bray Wyatt versus Eric Rowan, with Bray Wyatt shooting a great promo, by the way. God damn, man. You talk about WWE not knowing what to do with one of their best stars. They don't know what to do with their best star. Bray Wyatt is awesome, and I mean, they don't really have... He's in this weird place right now. He's in this weird place where they don't know what to do with him. Anyway, shot an excellent promo against... you could have made a rivalry with Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan, even though Eric Rowan's not a big guy, a big name or nothing, just out of Bray Wyatt's promos. Bray Wyatt's promo just shot a one-day promo on Eric Rowan, which was absolutely masterful, and then had a great match beating Eric Rowan right after that promo. Beautiful. Then you had a Miz TV or Miz thing with Summer Rae and Damien Sandow. I'm not even going to get into that. Just more Damien Sandow Miz thing. I'm kind of getting really tired of that. I really can't wait for them to have the one-on-one match, even though Miz beat him on Raw. Just go ahead and have the rematch at Extreme Rules, and let's get past Miz and Damien Sandow. I'm getting really tired of that. Then the main event. Daniel Bryan, Ziggler, Roman Reigns, Bad News Barrett, and the big... Oh, yeah. Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Roman Reigns versus Bad News Barrett, The Big Show, and Sheamus. And you know what's funny about SmackDown's main events? They're always the same. They're always these tag team matches. I mean, last week was Sheamus and Daniel Bryan 1-1, but for the most part, it's always these tag matches, which I'm cool. I'm fine with tag team wrestling. But I love tag team wrestling, actually. But, you know, it's always the same guys, and they just mix them around in the SmackDown matches. They just mix around the tag teams. But anyways, that was a good match. I believe, who won that match? Holy shit, who won that match? I'm pretty sure it was Daniel Bryan, Ziggler, and Roman Reigns, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I can't actually remember the finish of that match, and I know I watched the whole thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Anyways, that brings me, let's talk about Roman Reigns. So that concludes SmackDown. Was good. It was a nice glorified house show, like I said. Ooh, sun peeking through the train here. I gotta put my sunglasses back on. Anyways, that leads me to the next thing I want to talk about is Roman Reigns, how I think he's being booked after WrestleMania. And I'm going to commend WWE here. A lot of you think I'm not. I love how WWE is handling Roman Reigns. I really do. People were complaining for so long that he wasn't ready. He didn't deserve it. I just think they booked him wrong. I think they always been booking Roman Reigns wrong since the Royal Rumble. And now, from WrestleMania on, I think they've been booking Roman Reigns really right. And the fans are finally getting on board with that. Are finally, getting on board with what they're doing. I think what WWE is doing to Roman Reigns is really smart. They're not putting him right back in that title picture, and the fans you're starting to get more fan reaction to Roman. Meaning they're starting to cheer him more. He got a good reaction on SmackDown and Raw. WrestleMania, they almost booed him out of the building because they thought for sure he was going to win the belt at WrestleMania. They gave us a swerve ball there. It was really nice, even though we kind of all thought Seth Rollins was going to win, especially after he lost to Randy Orton. After he lost to Randy Orton, I knew damn well then and there that he was going to cash in. I just knew he was. But anyways, I think they've been booking him really smart. You don't need to put him in the title match right away and make the fans want him. And now all of a sudden the fans are saying, why aren't you pushing Roman Reigns? You know what? And that's another thing I want to talk about. These fucking fans of today. Like, I agree with a lot of you guys, of the fans, who go to the show, but I also disagree. You guys don't know what you want anymore. Like, yay, baby. Your fans are fucking confusing, especially for booking, but I love how they're booking Roman Reigns. You know me, I always critique how bad WWE is on the writing, but I love how they're handling Roman Reigns, and I say by SummerSlam, he should be ready and ready for that bout, and I wouldn't mind if they strap that bout on by SummerSlam or Survivor Series. I think he's ready. Moving on from there, that's just a quick thing, but I think I'm going to touch briefly on this. I don't want this to turn into something negative. I want to talk about the lawsuit going on right now with WWE. I want to talk about the lawsuit with Luther Reigns, Russ McAuliffe, and Ryan Sakota. I don't know those guys. The only guys I really know out of that, these guys are jobbers, really. But I remember Luther Reigns. I do remember Luther Reigns. He's the one standout that I do remember. And they're suing the WWE in a classic lawsuit, a big lawsuit here. It's more about the concussion thing and how WWE is not operating. And I believe this. I mean, they're not the only guys that came through, that said that. If you think about, the NFL and UFC and all these contact sports, they're very cautious about concussions and stuff. And WWE is always overshadowed, and they don't have a big press on concussions like boxing and football and UFC because it's predetermined. So it really, WWE gets overlooked. But they are horrible, man. They're shortening lives. The hell is that? I mean, WWE is really shortening lives by just their concussion protocol. I mean, these guys are suing, saying that they were threatened to lose their jobs if they don't go out after being diagnosed with a concussion or whatever. And I believe that. These guys are badasses, and like Vince McMahon, I mean, if you think about all the deaths we had in wrestling with wrestlers, a lot of them could have been avoided. Not all of them had to do with concussions, some with drugs or whatever. But if you think about them, some of these guys were probably on drugs because they were hurt, they were beat up, they had concussions, and you know, they weren't getting treated well. You know, they weren't getting treated by the staff, they weren't getting treated in general by these guys. And you know, we need more of that, you know. But these wrestlers have this impression of being tough guys, which they are, and they just don't complain. And we really need more wrestlers to come out, and it's sad that they're afraid for their jobs. And I think that's why we see so many deaths. I really don't think the medical staff really does take care of the wrestlers like they should. And I mean, God knows, I mean, especially with NXT, you got so much talent. You don't need to be running these guys hard. And then what they do is, then, like I've said it before, they have two house shows a night. And you don't need 2 house shows a night, man. Give some of these guys a day off. Give them more days off. You know, they're out there busting their ass, getting hurt, taking these bumps to entertain us nightly. And if you think about that, UFC, football, boxing, nobody runs every night like wrestlers. But I mean, they're the toughest people in the world, and you know, they get overshadowed just because it's predetermined. Yeah, the incomes, like the outcome's all predetermined, but you cannot fake the bumps that they take. And yeah, I mean, they can show you what safer ways to fall and take a back bump and stuff like that, but those head injuries and the stuff they get, all those are real, man. And you can't fake still chair shots. They do that to entertain us, and they do it nightly. It's for that reason they're the toughest athletes in the world. They really are, and I don't care what anybody else has to say about that. They really are. But anyways, that's all I really want to say about that. I don't want to really dig too much into that. And you know, like I said, I want to keep this video short. My Let's Talk Wrestling, they've been doing an hour. I'm going to cram a lot into the half hour, and then I want to end this tonight. I'm going to end my podcast with this, my event of the month off of the WWE Network. Those of you who know that I'm a big WCW fan, and I went on the WWE Network and I was watching Clash of the Champions. I believe it was Clash of Champions 20, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was, but they were celebrating the 20th anniversary of having wrestling on TBS, and that was in 1992. So if you guys want to go to it, go to the WWE Network, go to the vault, click on Clash of the Champions, and it's in September 1992. They have a lot of different events in 92 for Clash of the Champions. I think they do 3 or 4 a year at that time. And this one that you want to look was September of 1992. And it was also a very special, something cool to look at, especially if you're Andre the Giant fan. 4 months after they showed this, okay, they opened it up with Andre the Giant, and they're celebrating having 20 years of professional wrestling, which meant they started that in 1972 on the Superstation, which is remarkable, having that on their broadcast. They had Andre the Giant, they did an interview with him, and what was special about that was September 1992. That was one of the last times he was shown on a wrestling broadcast, because he died 4 months later on January 27th, 1993. And the reason why I remember that date was that was my birthday. That wasn't the year I was born. I was born in 86, but that is my birthday on January 27th. And so Andre the Giant died on my birthday. So that's how I remember his death, and so you got to see maybe the last times he was caught on film. So that was really cool too. But that's not the reason why I made the cut. You know what a fan I am of in-ring wrestling. First match on the card was Stunning Steve Austin defending the TV title against one of the greatest in-ring workers of all time. I went tongue-tied here. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Stunning Steve Austin had a great match for the TV title, and back then Steve Austin wasn't a gimmick. He was, if you guys never seen his in-ring work, watch all the in-ring action you can from his early days in WCW. He was an in-ring technician, man. He was a mechanic, and he was one of the biggest reasons why WWF wanted him, because he was such a great in-ring worker. But he got hurt in '97 with his neck from Owen Hart, and he had to change his wrestling style to more of a brawling style. But anyways, it was an awesome match, great match. And then another thing that I'm a big fan of, I'm a big fan of tag teams. And one of my favorite wrestlers, especially in the tag team division, but one of my favorite wrestlers, I would say he's definitely would be on my top 15 of one of my favorite wrestlers. And it may surprise some of you, is Arn Anderson, the Enforcer. This guy was a badass. Not to mention, I would say one of the best tag team wrestlers you would ever see. One of my favorite tag teams he was in. I mean, he was a great tag team with anyone he was tagged with. But one of my favorite tag teams was him and Tully. Him and Tully Blanchard were, man, you talk about guys who were great technicians, great wrestlers, and knew the psychology of tag team wrestling. They bettered everybody they were in the ring with. I love Arn and Tully. But anyways, his tag team partner in this match was, you talk about old school, old brawlers, old veterans. All four of these guys in this tag team match were old veterans, and they put on a great tag team match. It was Arn Anderson and beautiful Bobby Eaton. Bobby Eaton, those of you who don't know him, was a great wrestler and a great tag wrestler on that. So beautiful Barbie and Arn Anderson taking on Greg the Hammer Valentine, which was another really overlooked, great in-ring technician, and Dirty Dick Slater. Enough said. If you're a fan of tag team wrestling, you'll really enjoy four guys who are really good at tag team wrestling and individual wrestling, like Greg the Hammer Valentine. Just great wrestlers, and they put on a great tag team match for everyone that was watching that night. Also, you got to see, how about this? At the time in 1992 September, the World Heavyweight Champion Ron Simmons was the heavyweight champion at the time. Ron Simmons putting on the title against Cactus Jack Mick Foley. And that wasn't even the main event. Great match. Ron Simmons put on a good show there. Let me see. And then the main event was a Survivor Series type match in WCW. It was Jake the Snake Roberts, and he was only in WCW for a few months, and this was one of his matches he was in. Jake the Snake Roberts, Ravishing Rick Rude, okay, Big Van Vader, and this guy who is very forgettable. I don't even know his name. I just forgot it. I didn't even write it down. It was like the Invader. I think it was the Invader or something. We got Vader and the Invader. Horrible little costume. But anyways, you had Jake the Snake. You had Ravishing Rick Rude, who was one of the best, and Big Van Vader against the Steiner brothers, Nikita Koloff. Which if you've never seen Nikita Koloff, look him up. He's a great wrestler. Nikita Koloff, the Steiners, and Sting in an elimination match. And some of you may think, I'm gonna go in and tell you the finish of this match. Some of you may think that it'll come down to Sting or Vader or Sting or whatever, and it doesn't. It does come down to Sting. Sting is the last guy that was involved in this tag match. And it ended with, which was great, Jake the Snake Robert dropping his Pan DDT on Sting and winning the match for his team, furthering the storyline with Jake Roberts and Sting to their next pay-per-view, which they were advertising, Halloween Havoc 92, and Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal, a horrible gimmick, a horrible pay-per-view, if I remember, but really setting up the stage, you know, and not to mention, not like what WWF used to do at that time period. Now, you know, yeah, you'll have heels win, like especially like at WrestleMania, which was surprising. You had Seth Rollins winning and ending the title. But back then in the 90s and early in the 90s, they didn't really end too many programs with the heels winning. The baby faces usually went on top, especially in the very early 90s like that. The 80s and the early 90s, like 91 and 92. And here you ended the show with all the villains, the top villains, winning the match and Sting being defeated. It was really cool. Just all in all, if you want to see some great old school WCW, great in-ring wrestling, that's the one to watch. Anyways, guys, this video turned out to be 40 minutes long. I'm very happy with that. Kept it short and sweet. Hopefully you enjoy all the content and all the topics we talked about here in episode number 3 of Let's Talk Wrestling. Please check out my other videos. I posted a lot. I'm probably going to be doing maybe posting 1 or 2 a day, depending. Starting on tomorrow when I get home on Sunday, I will be posting the videos from there. So anyways, guys, until the next video, please subscribe, leave your comments on the bottom, and until the next video, wrestling fans, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you for the next video. Bye, guys.